practice, I have a hopefully special treat for you, and that is a restorative yoga practice. So a couple things to get us set up for that. The first is if we were like in a normal yoga studio, we'd have a bunch of props that I would offer you to use. We're going to use things that are kind of maybe lying around your house. I'm going to make some assumptions here. And if there's any egregious miscalculations, just let me know and we can work that as well. So the things that you'll need to support yourself here, I have 2 bed pillows. I just took these right off my bed. You can do the exact same thing, so you can collect that. And then maybe a blanket or 2 to sit on, um, or to use and roll up, and we'll use them in all different types of way. And so from where you're at right now, go grab a couple of bed pillows and maybe a blanket or 2. And we'll just use those as our props tonight, okay? So I'll give you a second or 2 to go run and grab those. I'll stall here. Yeah, grabbing all of our props. Okay, so I have a hard time measuring time, so I'm just going to go into the explanation of restorative yoga. And if you're with me, you're with me. And if you're coming in during the explanation, that'll be fine too. So restorative yoga, if you've never practiced it before, is a passive kind of yoga. So the kind that we normally do is active. We are actively stretching, we are actively strengthening. With restorative yoga, we'll come into postures and we'll hold them and will be completely supported either by the floor or our props. And the more that you relax, the more the passive act, if you will, of being in the postures allows the muscles to stretch open. So we're not actively stretching them out, we're just allowing the muscles and the tendons and the body to just kind of open through non-effort, which can be so grounding. It can be so restorative yoga. So that is going to be the goal of our practice, is to start to stop efforting. And I think it's something that's needed right now. Just kind of throwing a dart out into the dark there to for that one. But yeah, all right. So if you just joined in while I'm explaining, we're going to practice restorative yoga. So you're going to need a couple of bed pillows and maybe a blanket. So if you don't have those, go grab them now. We're going to get centered as we normally do, seated. So go ahead and make your way to a seat. However you want to sit. You can sit cross-legged, one leg, or several legs forward. And then sitting tall, relax your shoulders down your back, and the crown of the head lifting. Let's take a few deep breaths in and out. In and out. Allowing yourself to be completely trained on the breath. So as you inhale, you're aware of the sensation as you're inhaling. As you exhale, you're aware of the sensation of the exhale as you're exhaling. And you can even help this tendency by just repeating in your mind as you inhale, I am inhaling. And repeating in your mind as you exhale, I am exhaling. And what this present awareness of the breath does is that it brings your mind away from any distractions and toward the present moment. We're not concerned about the past. We're not projecting into or worrying about the future. We are just here in this body with this breath right now. This inhale, this exhale. I am inhaling. I am exhaling. And the mind still might want to move. There's a lot of things going on, but it's our job to notice when it does, acknowledge that it has, and then without judgment, bring it back to ourselves, bring it back to our experience in the body, in the breath right now. So tune into your body now. The breath is still calm, but what's happening inside of the system right now? There's a lot going on internally, externally. Maybe there's some tension being held, maybe in the belly or the shoulders, the jaw, the eyes. We're not trying to get rid of that. We're just acknowledging it at this point. We'll provide some relief for it in a bit. But just acknowledging how we are feeling in this moment without turning away from it, without having an aversion to any emotions or sensations. And when the mind drifts, I am inhaling, I am exhaling, bringing your awareness back to the present moment. This breath, this body. Good. And then go ahead and take a deeper, fuller breath. Bring your palms together at the heart. Bow the chin and just honor how you're feeling in this moment, in your body, in your breath, your energetic state, your state of mind. And then when you're ready, rub the palms together. Take the heated palms over your eyes. Brush back over the top of the head, down the neck. Bring yourself back to your space. Welcome back. All right, so this is going to be a restorative practice again, and so we're not going to be doing too much movement. And so the way this is going to work is I'll demonstrate a posture for you so you can see what it is, and then I'll have you come into it, and then I'll just guide you through some internal imagery or breath work while you're in it, okay? So for the first pose we're going to do here, make sure this is off screen. I'm going to take both of my pillows. And if you don't have two bed pillows yet, go get two bed pillows. They're going to come in handy here. And kind of making this up as I go along. I know the poses. I'm just seeing what we're going to do first. We're going to do a butterfly pose first. So you'll sit with your back to the pillows, and the pillows are about an inch or two away from your hips. The soles of the feet are together in butterfly, and we're not going to stay seated upright for too long. So if this is uncomfortable, just know that we're going to be moving from it. Now, once you have the feet in position, you'll reach behind you and you'll just compress the pillows down. And then from there, you can just relax down over the pillows and allow the arms to float out to the side, palms face up. And it starts to feel relaxing. And if it's too much to have the soles of the feet together, you'll just extend the legs down. And you're still getting a back bend, a big heart opening practice here. Okay? So if you're not in it already, I'll just walk through the stages. So you'll have the two pillows stacked behind you, the soles of the feet together in front of you. You'll reach back and just compress the side of the pillows closest to you down so that you can just relax your spine, lower back, mid back, upper back, down onto the pillows. And the arms coming out to the side, palms face up. Now, as you get into the posture, I'd like you just to make any movements you need to become a bit more comfortable. Again, if it's not comfortable to have the soles of the feet together in butterfly, you could either just take the feet further away from the hips, sometimes that helps, or just extend the legs down to the floor completely. Maybe take them a bit wider than you normally would, so there's still an opening in the pelvis happening. And after you've made those several movements, just allow yourself to come into a sense of steadiness or stillness. Now, the way that restorative yoga works here is that the more you relax, the more that happens in your body. When you're tense and holding, we can't stretch passively. So notice where you might be holding tension, whether it's in the front of the abdomen because we're creating some space in the front belly here, We're also creating space in the chest. The arms are relaxing. The shoulders are heavy. There might even be a stretch in the front of your throat as your head just relaxes back. See if you can relax some of that effort. The belly, the chest, the neck, the shoulders, the arms, the hands, the hips, the legs, the feet. Now, to help you relax a bit deeper into this posture, please become aware of the movement of your abdomen, the soft belly, and see if you can just bring more breath to the abdomen. Inhale, expanding, exhale, relaxing. Noticing when the mind drifts away and just have it ground back down into the abdomen. We're just getting started with our practice tonight, so it's natural if your body has a tendency to want to keep moving or your mind has a tendency to want to keep moving. You can kind of just think about that as like energy exhausting itself out. Inhaling to the abdomen, exhaling from the abdomen. We're going to stay in the pose for another probably minute or two. It's another thing to note about restorative yoga is that because we are waiting for the body to relax, we actually have to hold the postures for a bit, which allows us to experience them in deeper ways than if we were practicing some more active stretch. Staying for just another few breaths. Inhaling to the belly, exhaling from the belly. Now, I'll say this next part a few times tonight, but allow your first movement from this posture to simply be the thought of movement, mentally preparing yourself to shift from this pose. Then the second movement is to deepen your breath a bit more. Good. Bring the feet closer together. And then bring the feet flat to the floor. And be careful as you roll to your right side off of the pillows. Maybe resting on your right side for just a breath or so. And then bring yourself up to a seat as you're ready. Good. Now, it's not a restorative posture, but just as a counterpose to that, if you want to, you can just fold over your legs for a moment, feeling the chin drop toward your throat. Good. And inhale, come on back up, and I'll quickly demonstrate the next exercise. And so this next one is an asymmetrical posture. So we'll do it twice, once on each side. And so you'll start with one pillow here. And for this practice, We're going to take the pillow long ways and fold it in half as much as possible. Now we're going to be laying on this, so if it's not staying in half, that's completely fine. You'll take the rounded edge and you'll have it facing toward you. And I'm reclining on my left side right now. Now, in a moment, actually right now, I'm going to come to lay down on the pillow like so. Now, where it's at is it's pressing into the space between my ilium, my hip bone, and my floating rib. So the soft part of the side body is where it's pressing into. And once I'm here, I can do a couple of things to make this more restorative. The first is I can take my legs apart a bit, kind of out to the side, or I can bend the knees so that I'm not efforting any with the lower body. The second thing I can do is extend the left arm here, the one on the ground, toward the floor and relax my head down. Now, if you have your second pillow nearby, you can bring your pillow on top of that arm and relax. Right arm goes wherever you want to. Some people like it on the side, some people like it on the floor next to you. And we'll spend, a minute or so on this side, and then we'll go to the other side. Okay, so I'll lead you through it. If you're not there already, taking your pillow, folding it long ways like a hot dog bun. Good. And you can start on whatever side you want to. I'm on my left side. And just recline down over it. Again, the soft portion of the abdomen is what it's pressing into most. You're going to kind of think about trying to keep your hip bone on the ground as much as possible. And then relaxing on down. And then just like when we were in the last posture, find ways to make yourself more comfortable. Maybe the knees want to bend. Maybe the legs want to go out to the side. Maybe you want to bring that pillow underneath your head. What does the right arm want to do? Does it want to stay on your side? Just want to come in front of you? Some people even like taking the right arm overhead. Find your posture here. Relaxing into the pose. Now for this one, there might be a little bit of discomfort since we're pressing into the internal organs. But that tension will begin to relax a bit the longer we hold the pose. So you can bring your breath down to your abdomen and just relax any tension around the abdomen that you find. Some gentle compression of the side body. And if you're able to breathe to your abdomen here, it's almost like the breath and the compression of the pillow are helping to massage some of the internal organs, helping to relieve any stuckness, any tightness, any tension, stagnation in those organs. Now, the relief of that might not always be the most comfortable, but breathe to the belly nonetheless. You notice where your mind goes when you get still. Just like we sometimes hold unconscious tension in the body, sometimes we unconsciously follow tension of the mind or effort of your mind. See if you can relax that effort because there's nothing to figure out right now. There's nothing to anticipate right now. Any planning or doing can be done later. Where in your body can you relax a bit more? Let's take just a few more deep breaths here. And like before, your first movement is the thought of movement. And the second is just to deepen your breath. When you're ready to come up, you'll move gently, you'll move slowly, carefully releasing that compression from your side. And I like to sit for a moment or two after coming out of a posture because you can still feel the effects pretty presently of what was happening in that pose. And then we'll do it on the other side. So whichever side you didn't do before, do the second side. Again, folding the pillow in half, the rounded edge pointing toward your body. And so I'll be on my right side this time. And just recline down over the pillow, trying to keep the hip bone on the floor as much as possible, the pillow pressing into the soft sided abdomen. Okay, so go ahead and come into this if you're not already. There's a couple of adjustments you might want to make once you're here. You can figure out what the legs are doing. You can figure out what the right arm or bottom arm is doing. If you want that pillow under your head, I feel like that's a nice one. And figure out what you're doing with your left arm or top arm. It doesn't have to be the same that you did on the first side. Maybe the arm wants to relax down here. Maybe it wants to come overhead. It might not feel like much is happening at first, especially with your abdomen, including the side body. We hold a lot of tension there. It's a very hard part of the body sometimes, but it is just, flesh and muscle. So we can relax that tension. We can relax that effort, that gripping, that tightness. So see if you can bring your breath down to the abdomen. Just relax deeper with each breath. At a certain point, finding a sense of steadiness or stillness in this pose. It might feel different than the first side. It may feel the same. Breathe and soften, just the same as the first side. Now, this isn't just a physical or energetic practice. Notice where the mind goes here. And how when the body gets still, sometimes the mind starts to rev up. See if you can just acknowledge that the mind is moving, maybe where it's gone, what it's focusing on. And then just ask that effort to relax. Ask that tension just to soften, just like you would the body. And return your awareness to the movement of the abdomen, sensation in this posture, and the active act of being passive here. So the more you relax, the more that happens. Breathing to your abdomen. A few more breaths. Your first movement is the thought of movement. In a moment, we will move from this posture. And then take a deeper, fuller breath. And slowly, carefully bring yourself up from that pose. Sitting for a moment, noticing sensation. Good. And again, I'll demonstrate the next pose. Let's practice a little start and stop sometimes. So this next one, I'll preface by saying it may be a little bit uncomfortable, but that's never stopped us from doing a yoga posture. So let's give it a try. Similar setup as before. You're going to take your pillow in front of you. You're going to fold it in half like a hot dog bun. And I'm going to come to lay down on this on my abdomen. And so my abdomen, the soft flesh between the hip bones and the floating ribs, is going to be compressing into the pillow. Yeah, at first it might feel uncomfortable, and I'm going to ask you to keep breathing to it. There's some real strong restorative goodness that comes from this, and I'll explain it while we're in it. So I'll demonstrate it real quick. Holding it there, kind of eyeballing where my abdomen would be. Just relaxing down onto it. So my hip bones are relatively close to the floor. I'm extending my torso over the pillow and eventually coming down to rest. From here, you can take the feet a bit wider apart. I'm placing my forehead on the back of my hands. You could also bring that second pillow, because why not? We have it in front of you, and use that. Maybe turn the head to a side. As long as you keep the chest, the ribs, mostly on the ground and your hips mostly on the ground, you're going to get the effect of this pose. Okay? So if you're not there already, I'll walk you through it. Folding the pillow in half and then coming to lay down on top of it. And it's going to take some time to shift and get it to feel okay. But again, it's compressing into the soft belly. The two hip bones are relatively toward the floor, and then you're extending the belly over the pillow so that your rib cage and chest can rest on the ground as well. You can fold your hands under your head. You could bring that pillow underneath your head and turn it to a side. You can take the feet wider apart if you want to. This is where I say, hopefully you didn't eat too much before you got here. It's still early in the evening. Should be fine. Good. Now, I mentioned earlier that we hold a lot of tension in the abdomen, and you might be feeling that right now. Might feel kind of crampy. Might feel like it's hard to breathe. Just see if you can relax a bit more. You might get feelings of anxiety or panic come up. Know that that's just a response of the tension unwinding. And then if we can stay here and breathe here, that will pass. You're not in any kind of danger right now, though there might be some discomfort. And though it might feel counterintuitive, I'm going to ask you to try to breathe to your abdomen. Breathing to the abdomen. And that's going to help the pillow and the breath help massage some of those internal organs and some of that tension in the muscles of the front abdomen, moving some of that tension, that stuckness, that stagnation out, helping to move through the internal organs, any bile. When we come out later, that'll allow room for fresh fluid to come on in. Keep breathing, especially with this one. You may notice as you rest here that maybe some of the discomfort or the tension comes and goes. You'll be all right for a moment, then you'll breathe and you'll feel a bit of sensation. Then you'll feel and breathe and it'll pass. Notice the tendency of your mind to move. Just try to keep it grounded in the sensation of this posture and your breath in your abdomen. Inhaling to the belly. Exhale, relaxing the belly. Noticing sensation. You might feel movement in the abdomen. That's natural. You might feel a pulse behind the navel. That's also natural. We're going to stay for just a little bit longer. Keep breathing. It's a deeply restorative pose, especially the longer we hold it. Let's take just a few more breaths here. Now, your first movement, as always, is simply the thought of movement. And you can allow the breath to come up into your chest, deeper breath. Now, I want you to come out of this pose as slowly as you can because it may not feel like it, but you're in here deep. And so I recommend having the legs about hip distance apart and bringing your hands under your shoulders. And then just pushing up to hands and knees. And just feeling the belly release there. You may intuitively just want to go immediately into child's pose. That's totally fine here. Soft belly. And allow yourself to sit up. Again, feeling sensation, this hyper awareness of the body here tonight. You might notice that you feel kind of maybe cloudy or tired, and that's actually just your nervous system unwinding. The pose we just did puts a lot of compression on the abdomen, of course, and that puts compression on the anterior portion of the spine, or the inside side of the spine where the vagus nerve is located. When we put that gentle pressure on that nerve, it actually sends a signal to your brain to lower your blood pressure and to calm your nervous system. It's a physical switch in the body to calm stress. Um, I'd recommend not doing that when you have just eaten. So low stomach to empty stomach is probably best, but that's a great one to come back to time and again. Good. So for the next posture, because there's more and there's time for more, that's good too. Sometimes when we're in there, it gets a little bit ethereal, if you will. So I'm going to take one of my blankets. Okay, this is a nice thick wool folded blanket. And right now it's about 2 inches thick. I'm just going to fold that in half again, as much as possible. I'm going to pound it down. There we go. And, and now it's about 5 inches thick. Okay, just some nice height. And you can adjust that as you need to. I'll show you what we'll do with it. So I'm just going to allow that to hang out next to my mat, and I'm going to come to lay down on my back. And I guess before you come in it, if you want a pillow under your head, just grab one of those pillows and put it under your head. But what I'll do in a moment is I'm going to lift my hips into the air for bridge pose, slide that blanket that is folded underneath my hips. And then the top of the blanket, so the rounded edge, is right in line with my waistband. The rest of it's going downward. So just the top of the tailbone. Now, once that's there, kind of centered on the tailbone, I can release the hips down and extend the legs to the floor. Toes falling outward, arms resting by your side. Now, if you need to adjust, you can bring the feet flat to the floor and shift things around a bit to make yourself more comfortable. But yeah, this is what we'll do next. So if you haven't gotten into it already, I'll walk you through it, taking your blanket and folding it to a height that feels appropriate for you. If what I had was too high, you can bring it down one. Okay, so just folding it all up, having it next to you, feet flat on the floor, on your back, lift the hips, slide the blanket underneath, and release the tail down onto it. Again, the top of the blanket close to your waistband, thereabouts. Extend the legs down, about as wide as your mat, toes falling outward, arms by your side. And if you want to have a pillow under your head, just bring that pillow under your head. And then just relax more here. Whether you can believe it or not, there's probably still some tension in the abdomen. And instead of compressing it like we were doing before, now we're creating length in the front of the abdomen, in the front of the hip bones, the pelvis, the groin. See if you can just relax those muscles a bit here. Bring some breath, not just to the belly, not just to the soft belly, but bring it downward toward the pelvis. Seeing if you can feel that low abdomen have some expansion and contraction. Inhale and exhale. Now, as we continue to relax the muscles of the pelvis, front of the hips, notice where else in your body you might be holding tension. Your jaw, your eyes, It feels like your hands are gripping or your feet are clenching. Just relax that extraneous effort. Now, in my experience teaching this posture, people either absolutely love it or absolutely hate it. There's not a lot of gray zone here. So if you're not having a good time, that's completely fine. Breathe with it. We won't be holding it as long as the other postures. We will hold it just a bit longer. Relaxing the belly, relaxing the low abdomen, the pelvis. Let's stay for just a few more breaths. And the first movement simply being the thought of movement. And let's go ahead and take a deeper breath. All right, so for this one, bring your feet flat to the floor. Lift the hips, slide the blanket out from underneath the hips, bring the hips down, and extend your legs back down to the floor. We'll adjust here on our backs. Just feeling sensation for a moment. You might start to notice, or maybe you're continuing to notice, that even though we aren't actively moving around a bunch, that there's a lot happening, that there is stretching happening, there is release, there's energy moving. A lot of what we love about a normal yoga class is still happening. Taking a deeper breath. Go ahead and roll to your right and come on up. Good, good. I love restorative yoga. So for this next one, you're going to need your two pillows again. We're going to keep them stacked. And this is going to be another asymmetrical posture. So we'll do it twice, once on each side. All right. So this is going to be a similar setup to the first posture we did, but then we're going to switch it up a bit. I'll just show you. So I'm going to sit with my back to the pillows, my feet flat on the floor in front of me, and there's a pretty wide distance between my feet and my hips. And this is because in a moment, we're going to drop the knees to a side to roll onto a side. Now, this is where we're going to change up the pillow situation. Instead of having them going directly behind you, we want them to go out to the side, maybe about 45 degrees or so. So I'm going to slide them like more toward my body. So not behind me, but more in front of me, and then slide them up pretty close to my hip. And I'm going to compress the side that's closest to me down, and I'm going to drape my body down as I'm twisting over the pillows. And you can kind of hold the pillows, your head in center, your head can turn to the left, or if you want to come into the full extent of the posture, your head turns to the right. Okay? So I'll walk you through it, don't worry, if you're not in it already. So pillows behind you, sitting tall, feet mat width apart. Good. And then just for my instruction's sake, drop the knees to the right, rock onto your right side, and then pull the pillows more in front of you. So not back there, but over here, kind of shooting forward out of the hip. And then compress the side closest to you down. Start to drape the chest, belly, down onto the pillows. And this might take a moment or two because we are twisting the spine. You may need to pick up and shift the hips a little bit. And maybe the head turns to the left, a less intense twist. Maybe the head wants to rest in center. If you have the flexibility in your neck and no pressure to do this, you could turn the chin to the right. Whichever variation you're in, let's just breathe here. Feeling that gentle twist in the torso, up to the mid-back, and even some slight rotation behind the heart and up to the shoulders. And even though we're twisting, breathe to the soft belly. And notice when the mind starts to drift and bring it back to the belly. Just another breath or two here. The first movement is the thought of it. The breath starts to deepen. And then bring the hands to the ground. Press into the floor. Pull the chest away from the pillows and take your time because you're in there pretty deep, unwinding back to center. Feeling what you feel. Some of that yoga high coming through there. Good. So we're gonna do the other side now. I'm gonna turn around on my mat, but you can just move the pillows to the other side. So starting with pillows behind you, sitting to tall. This time your knees are gonna drop to the left, okay? And you're gonna spin around as much as you can, and then bring the pillows more in front of you at an angle, kind of shooting out that way. Good. Lift the torso up, press the pillows down, and begin to recline down on top of the pillows. Nice, relaxing pillows. These pillows are working so hard tonight. Love it. You can shift the hips around a bit if you need to. Take your time as you release down, coming into this restorative twist. And once you come down, figure out what you want to do with the head. You can turn the chin to the right. You can have the chin resting in center. You can turn the chin to the left. Pick your practice and breathe with it. Deep belly breaths. Notice when the mind moves. Draw it back down to the movement of the abdomen. Deep belly breathing, just a few more breaths here. And the first movement being the thought of it. Deeper breath, hands on the floor. Pull your body away from the ground. Unwind carefully. Feeling, just feeling, whatever you're feeling, just feeling it. Because I'm doing this with you, I become less coherent the further we go along. So we just have two more postures to do. And one of them is a supported Shavasana or corpse pose. But before we get there, we're going to come into a supported child's pose. So I'll show you the setup with my legs first. I'm going to come into kind of a squat on the ground here, and my knees are a bit wider than I would normally have for child's pose. Normally I'd have the knees together and I'd fold here. And that's cool and all, but we can make this restorative. So just taking the knees wider apart, bring your two pillows, because we love these pillows, and draw them as close to your body as you can. You can kind of tuck them between the legs a bit more. Good. Now you may need a blanket for this one. I'll just show you how it goes. So from here, I'm just going to drape my body down over the pillows. The head can turn to a side or another. Now, if this is too far to the ground for you, this is where you can bring maybe a folded blanket, or if you have a third pillow, you can go grab that and just create a bit more height. Okay. So if you're not in it already, you're coming into kind of a squat on the ground here, knees wide. Bring the pillows in between your legs, maybe bringing a folded blanket or a third pillow on top. Then just drape the belly, chest, head down onto that situation. Head to a side or chin and center, you pick. Relaxing here. Softening effort. Can you relax a little bit more here? Let's take just a few more breaths. If you've had your head to one side for a bit, maybe turn it to the other side. The first movement is the thought of it. The second is a deeper breath. Your hands helping, go ahead and peel yourself away from the pillows. And the good news about restorative yogas, we still get our final resting posture. This one's going to be a little bit more supported. So what I'm going to do, because I know what I like, I'm going to bring a blanket underneath where my head's going to go. And then my two pillows, still stacked, are going to go toward the end of my yoga mat. And I'm going to prop my legs up on them once I come to lay down. So what that'll look like is me coming down here and adjusting. And I realize I want my pillows a bit further away so that I can just open up and relax here for a few minutes. So make your way here. If you don't like the pillows, you don't have to use them. You can have the legs on the ground. You could use a pillow as a pillow. They work that way too if you want. Though we've discovered so many new uses for them tonight. But if your legs are on pillows, if that's comfortable for you, and it's okay if it's not, but if it is, you are allowing just a gentle invertedness or inversion of the body, very slight, bring some of the maybe stagnant fluid from the feet and legs back up toward the heart to be recirculated. It can be a relief to those regions of the body. And as you relax here, try to become still or steady and just focus on the soft abdomen. Peace, peace, peace. Again, the first movement is the thought of it. The second is just that deeper breath, inviting more breath into your body. And take your time, bringing yourself back, eventually rolling to your right side. And then take your time coming up to a comfortable seat. Bring your palms to your heart, lower your chin, and just honor yourself for your willingness to step into a passive state of practice tonight, to allow yourself to rest, to stretch, but to rest, to move energy, but to rest doing it, opening yourself up to that, the willingness to relax as much as you have. And may that non-effort and this practice continue to serve you. So until next time, namaste.